have your fear, which might become reality. And you have Godzilla, which is reality.
I'm sick of Godzilla. Wake up, everyone! There are two things you don't know about the Earth. One is me, and the other is Godzilla.
We're safe enough. No human being can understand that. The monsters on Monster Island can understand it.
Whether he returns or not, or is never again seen by human eyes, the things he has taught us remain.
Cool. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. YHS on Monster Island. Listen, we're going to talk about Godzilla X Kong tonight. We haven't talked about it. It's been out for, I don't know, 2 weeks at this point, right?
Yeah, making lots of money.
Right after the last show, right?
It did. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's out there. It's a movie.
It is a movie.
We're going to talk about it tonight. I think we probably have a lot to say. Me and Jay, listen, we have not talked about this movie at all.
True.
I don't know what Jay thinks. Jay doesn't know what I think. I'm assuming we're probably on the same
We shall see.
chapter at least. I don't know. Maybe not on this. I don't know. I don't know where we are, but I'm excited to talk about it.
Isn't it crazy? This is such a huge thing, making tons of money. It's popular. You see all this stuff about it, and we talk every day, and we talk about Godzilla things, but we have yet to mention anything about this film as far as our opinions on it. And I think we just kind of organically do that, knowing like, hey, we're going to talk about it for an hour on the show.
Yeah,
I mean, we've had more conversations about Gabra T-shirts than we've had about Godzilla X Kong, and it's nuts.
It's also weird for me because I've been going through, Ghostbusters came out just like a week before
the other
Godzilla.
Empire.
So the other Empire came out, and it's been, that's a big part of what I've been up to. I've done like so steeped in Ghostbusters at the premiere, doing official content, interviews, Firehouse Friday. Like there's just been so much of that. That Godzilla is kind of on the back burner for me, which seems awful to say because Godzilla is my number one. But it's like, it is a little conflicting because I'm like, oh, Godzilla is going to come out right after Ghostbusters, and I wish they weren't coming out at the same time because I want them both to make as much money as possible. But then also like going to the movies and being like, whoa, it says Ghostbusters and then it says Godzilla, and that's insane. So there's just a lot going on, and then I'm also trying to not take for granted that we're in the like fifth MonsterVerse movie because when 2014 came out, I was annoying probably to know for that whole year. People probably could not stand me. I remember like being out at a restaurant and the restaurant had a TV on, and the commercial for a TV spot for Godzilla came on, and I was like, guys, shut the fuck. I'm like, look, I'm freaking out about it. Like, that was a huge deal. And now we're at Godzilla versus Kong. It's like the sixth movie. And you're just like, oh, there's another Godzilla movie.
And it's everywhere. And
I don't like, I just don't like, I want that excitement for every single movie. And I wasn't able to have it for this one. And I don't know. We'll get to it when we get to it. Well, we got a couple.
The good news is I think you'll have other chances to do that. But isn't that funny though? Like, take out
100%.
Godzilla and Ghostbusters. Yeah, take out like Godzilla and Ghostbusters and just in this the broad like philosophical thing of like you want to have that special feeling and make everything feel special. Like you had 2014, like it was like, hey, we haven't had one. In obviously the US in 16 years, and then it's like the goal is like you want that special, but you want more of it. And then it's like at some point it gets too much and you're not going to have that special feeling, but like it's what you wanted. You wanted all of these content. Yeah. You want it. It's like there's that balance that like it's never like you'll never achieve it, right? The pendulum will never stop. And to me,
I don't want it. Go ahead, finish your thought.
I would say I'm glad that we're in the era of we're getting a lot more content. Because I can sacrifice some special feelings, whatever, but I get it. It's a tricky balance.
I don't want it to turn into how I feel for Star Wars, and I love Star Wars, but but Star Wars is at a point where there is so much of it, and the weight of what's good versus what is bad, the scales are tipping in the wrong direction at this point. There's just so much of it. It can't all appeal to you. So it's like, oh, we used to have 3 amazing movies, and it's like Star Wars is perfect. And then it's like, well, now we got 6 movies, 3 are amazing, 3 maybe aren't good. Yeah. And then you got 9, and it's like now we're at like 12, and now there's 6 TV shows, and it's like, I'm tired of it. The Acolyte trailer came out, and I was like, I don't feel anything for this. Yeah, and that bums me out. It bums me out, and I don't ever want to feel like that. If I start to feel like that for Godzilla, I'm done. I'll quit this show. I'm done.
Yeah, no, I think that's a real concern, because I feel the same way. Like, anything Star Wars, I think it's a great example, especially people our age and even a little bit older. Like, it was appointment viewing. It was a big deal. I mean, I remember when they re-released the original trilogy. I was in high school and like waiting outside in like. It was freezing rain and everything, and I was waiting outside to go see, A New Hope in the theater, because obviously I wasn't alive when the first one came out, and it was such a huge thing. And then now it's like that with all the Disney Plus shows. At just some point, I was like, it's a Disney thing, and maybe I don't know, because Marvel, you can say the same thing. There's just too much content. Yeah. I feel like with Toho and how it's kind of structured and what we get, I feel like it's naive for me maybe to say this, but I feel like we're a little bit protected there and insulated with Godzilla, but I don't know. And I just don't know if it has the mass appeal in the US that Star Wars does, but no, I hope so. Sure. I hope so. Or like, I'm saying like the potential, obviously it doesn't have the current appeal, but I don't want it to get to where you're right. They put out 10 things a year and 7 of them are just and 3 are okay, or 2 are okay, and 1's great. I
don't know. We're gonna keep. You know what? Let's knock out our other stuff before we get too deep in Godzilla versus Kong. I don't have any pickups, Jay. I don't know.
I got one.
I know you got. Okay, so let's go ahead and do pickups. I know we have we don't really have any news.
But we do have. Yeah, we have a segment.
But we have a new segment. So,
and once you hear it, it will only happen one time per year, maybe.
Per year. That's
and fine. It's kind of news. It's kind of news. It plays with the news. But actually, real quick though, I did want to say one thing. If you don't like what I say here about Godzilla X Kong, you can go check out me on the podcast, The Genre Geeks, where I actually talk with those guys about Godzilla X Kong. And see if the everything lines up, and maybe it's better over there. I don't know. Maybe my opinions have changed over the last few weeks, but those guys are good dudes. They do a lot of like just pop culture stuff, and a couple of them are based here in Texas, and they do some really good stuff. One of them is going to be at Kaiju Go, so you'll get to meet AJ from the Genre Geeks. But it's a good podcast. Okay, so I got one pickup, and it's a pickup. You have a variant of this. So I'm joining the club, man. I'm joining the club. I think you sent me the like, what is this? I need to get this. And eventually you got it. Okay. And it was on your top 10 list. One of your slides that has
this year.
Yeah. This year. And it was one of the pickups. It was like, I need kind of any of these. Like, it wasn't like one specific item.
I know what it is.
Yeah. So from the great David Kaufman over at Secret Handshake Toys, I was able to get a little Kappa Briner. Him in his little cucumber car. So this colorway. Such a good toy. So I missed out on the lottery. So David's a cool dude, one of the best artists out there. And I sent him I missed, like, I've tried like 3 or 4 times, and I'm always like late to the party, and I missed the lottery. But he had an extra one that he was going to have for Monsterpalooza. So there wasn't the online variant, but it was a similar one. And I love this green colorway. And so he sent me this. He had this one. He let me buy it. And I was like, thank you. I actually like this one better than the one I didn't get. So it worked out. It was very serendipitous. Yeah. So super awesome. I really want to get him to Kaiju Go one year. Oh my gosh. Yeah. He would be awesome. He has so much good stuff. But yeah, this thing is better in person than it is even in images.
It's one of my favorite sculpts out of anything I've bought, especially like recently. It's just, it is just so, I cannot not be happy looking at that toy.
I know, that's the thing. It's like it's an instant smile. It's an instant smile, and I love how it comes with the legs in case you want to take him out of the car.
Mine didn't come with the legs, but I bought mine on eBay. I bought mine on eBay, and I was like, you know, when I got it, I was like, oh, isn't this supposed to have legs? But I wasn't. I was like, maybe this one didn't.
Yeah,
I don't
maybe.
have legs for mine.
Okay, so mine has like, I'm gonna totally rub it in. Not only did it come with like some like cool stickers and stuff, it also came with this really cool bag that had like the Secret Handshakes logo on it. It was really nice. It was really cool. Very not like a plastic bag, like a nice cloth bag. It was very cool.
Just means I got to get a second one.
I know, right?
Not on eBay. I'll get it.
Not on eBay
this time.
Man, there's so many good colorways of that one. Yeah. It's not like there's 5 and like, okay, there's one that's awesome and the other ones are fine. It's like there's a lot of really good.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, how can you not? I mean, this thing can do any color. Look at this guy.
Yeah.
So cool. But yeah, and then all the other thing is, as far as like what I've been watching, follow up from last time, I have like a 2 or 3 more episodes left of Return of Ultraman. So I got to decide if I'm going to do a top 10 episodes of Return of Ultraman. I think it might. I've been kind of in my head being like, yeah, this is probably a top 10. This is probably a top 10. It's a lot. It's like 51 episodes. But
you're doing all that research, so you got to do something with it.
I know, right? In my head, I'm gonna do it anyway, so I might as well just like record it, right? Yeah. But that's all I got. Have you watched Shin Kamen Rider?
No, not at all.
That should be another segment too. We should just have Shin Kamen Rider come up in here and just ask the question.
No, sir. No. Yeah, so that's it. That's it for pickups. Man, well, let's do a new segment. Well, let's get into this new segment, guys. Jay's going to hit us with a new segment. Yeah, I have no idea what's happening here. This is all Jay.
He has no idea, and he has no idea what I'm going to ask him, nor does he know that this new segment has theme music. At least annual. Is it? Do I need to turn it up? Do I need to turn it up?
Your voice cut out when the music started playing. It happens on YHS too when I do sad comment. Oh, there we go.
Okay, so this is the first and only and an annual maybe. If it's good, we'll go annual.
I like the music. I like it.
This is 10 things that I think Jake would buy at the Thailand Toy Expo. For those who know the Thailand Toy Expo, which is awesome. It's a great designer toy expo every year in Thailand. I know, right? This is the 12th. This is the 12th one. They've been doing this for 12 years.
Wow.
A lot of the big guys go there, like Sun Guts. And the difference why this is a little bit different than what we normally do is this is almost exclusively unlicensed, like true designer toys. There's no Godzilla here. There's no kaiju that you would probably recognize. So this is me going out and looking through all the stuff that they release and saying, you know what? Jake doesn't collect this. I know because this has no tie to anything that he currently collects, but I think he might like it based on the style, the look, the subject, or whatever that might be. And it's across the board. And these are some of the like well-known toy artists and stuff. Right. So this is somebody that dabbles in a little bit of designer vinyl, but not an expert or not a super collector by any means. And talking to somebody who is at the same level as me on kind of the designer vinyl world. So it'll be fun. Now, I will say before we get into what I think Jake would buy, we got to talk about one thing that Jay needs from this Thailand Toy Expo. And this is the one Jay thing here. This would make it news. So Planet X Asia. I love Planet X Asia. They're the ones they did the big pink King Joe that I have and stuff. They're really great. And I love Fireman and I love Ultra 7. I'm not as familiar with Jumborg Ace. I've only seen like 1 or 2 of the Jumborg Ace episodes, but I love Planet X Asia's style and I love these. And I'll tell you right now that Fireman would be in my top 10 if this was released before our top 10. I need only 40 of each of these was released.
Whoa,
so there's not 40. Many. Yeah.
The translucent red looks really good on these. So I saw these going around earlier and I was going to send it to you, but I saw you had already you'd already liked it. I was like, oh, he's on it.
This is something I'll be checking every day. I think the Fireman and then the Ultra 7 as well, but really that Fireman, I'm like, I need that. But I absolutely love this. This was my favorite thing that came out of it. And oddly enough, one of the licensed ones. Okay. So I have 10 of these. And I put them in my ranking. And I'll say that there were some that were like released that weren't able to be bought. I tried to stay away from those. There were a couple like, here's a new design that's coming out, a prototype. Most of these,
those
I believe,
don't count.
Yeah, for the most part. Now, some of these with translations from Thai to English, maybe they were a prototype, but they looked like they were able to be bought. So I could be off on some of these, but I tried my best. But some of these are just so freaking cool. Okay, number 10. This is from Sapien Studio, a Singapore-based artist. This is Elo, the ice cream monster, and there's tons of variants of this guy, but this was the one. It was this dark, and that's why this was a little bit harder to see. But he had like rainbow, clear, and all this stuff. But it's basically this giant kaiju that's made from like just the dripping ice cream. There's teeth in his stomach. His spikes are ice cream cones. I just thought this thing was funny and silly and goofy, and made me think of, what if we had a kaiju and ice cream kitty from the 2012 Ninja Turtles put together?
That's the first thing I thought of was ice cream kitty.
Yeah, I know. So I thought this was pretty cool. And this was the variant that was exclusive to the show.
Yeah, that's cool. Hey, spot on. I'd buy this.
Yeah, it's really cool. Oh, and money's no object here. So we're not, I didn't say, okay, I didn't be like, Jake is only going to bring this amount of money. So I kind of stay within a budget. No budgets here. Okay. Number 9. I really love this one. This is a great one. This is Yaks from it's an artist in Thailand. His name is Kitty Touch Saliwong. I don't know. I have no idea. But this was based on those, like you think outside the big Buddhist temples, those big demon guards, right? The yaksha. This is a fun variant of that. But why I thought this was really cool for you is you love My Pet Monster. And I felt this gave off some big My Pet Monster sofubi vibes, but done in this silly kind of yaksha inspired piece. And I thought it just looked so cool.
It really does. It's got the blue and the red, which is My Pet Monster colors, and then the big tusks. Yeah, dude, you're right. The color is what jumped out at me immediately. Yeah, dude. If this is number 9, I'm so excited for what's 8 through 1. So this is awesome.
This guy and his stuff, like all of them have this kind of, see how around the eyes, it looks almost like he's wearing glasses, like those big black thick circles. Like all of his designs, that's kind of the patented trademark.
All have that. Okay.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. And I don't know. I thought it was neat. But I'm included the Instagram handles of a lot of these guys, so people go and check them and buy some stuff. Most of them are pretty intuitive, but this one, he does have the complicated at RX158Z9. So all the other ones,
cool.
Remember, really cool. Okay, number 8. This awesome insect, and this is from Infinity Toy, and they'll be on here 3 times.
Oh my god! It's literally just the fly.
Yeah. So I figured with your love of horror and sofubi, but this is like detailed, pretty gross. This is the 4th variant of this one. This is kind of the start of their hybrid insect series. This is a big piece. Like this is a big piece, and just like gross, and like it kind of plays in a lot of different worlds. It could be seen as a giant kaiju. It could be seen as something from The Fly, a horror movie. But I thought it's also like really well done and detailed, and very, very, very cool.
This is my favorite one so far.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you said that. You know why? Because the next one, number 7, is the debut of the second release, the second new sculpt in this line. So we have the hybrid insect, and he just released the first colorway of the hybrid spider.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Now this one to me gave off more like kaiju vibes, but yet it was still, it's like, I don't know, like something about it is like almost even like Kamen Rider, but if it was made into a giant kaiju, like, I don't know, there's something here that looks really, really cool. And I just think that I like the colors too. Those big red eyes could be Insectars, also a horror movie. I don't know. I thought this was those two together. I thought looked really stunning together.
Yeah. Those will look good on a shelf together.
Yeah. And they're big. Ooh. That's the other thing. They're gigantic. Yeah. Okay. Number six. I can't remember what number 6 was. Oh yeah. Kaiju Brocken from Pathfinder Vinyl Toys at Pathfinder Vinyl Toys. It is this was sold via lottery, 20 produced. He has done the Kaiju Brocken, the werewolf with the 4 eyes. He's done this a few times, but this is the colorway that was released at the Thailand Toy Expo. This also a big piece. This thing is stunning, and I felt like your love of horror movies and werewolves and all that good stuff. But this one, you add the extra eyes to make it even more menacing and whatever. And I just thought this sculpt looked great.
Dude, so far you're spot on. Like I want all of it. I'm getting annoyed. I was like, God, am I gonna have to go back through this list and make sure I'm following all of these?
That's what I did today as I was doing it. I was like, I don't follow this one. I don't follow this one. And it's funny, when you search it and then you'll just type in the name because you don't know what their actual handle is, and then you'll see like so and so and so and so and so and so follow.
Yeah,
I'm like,
all the other people you follow.
I'm like, this must be him. So this was cool, and this guy's like 4 or 5 of these colors, and there's some colorways that are more like classic browns and blacks, and there's some that are wackier colors, but this was a really neat one. And it's funny,
metallic blue.
Yeah, and also a lot of these that I've shown you so far, a lot of the comments and people saying, "Oh my gosh, I can't wait for this! What great colors!" are other artists that we know. In fact, I want to say it might have been this one, but like David Kaufman that did the cap, I think it was Kaiju Brock, and it was like, this is the best colorway yet. And like, it's funny when the other artists are geeking out over these. Some of these artists and toy companies don't have as much of a following here yet, more in Southeast Asia. So this one was really cool. So I like this one. This was the first one that I saw that I was like, Jake would really like that. I should do a list. This was the inspiration was Kaiju Brocken. Awesome. Okay. So number 5. Some of these are some of my favorites too. Getting the top 5. The Super Beast. So you love reptiles. You love amphibians. You love sofubi. You love cute, almost chibi style fun things from InToy. And they've done a ton of these. And they're usually 3 Super Beasts with different like sizes and like a little bit slight variations. This is the Super Beast. It looks almost like a salamander meta horned lizard.
It's a horned lizard,
yeah. It's or as we say down here in Texas, a horned frog. Even though it's not amphibian, it's a lizard. But we love them. State reptile.
What are those just running around out there where you live?
They used to. Unfortunately, they are almost all out in like Arizona, New Mexico now. But when like probably the generation older than me, like my mom always talks about, hey, they just go and catch horny frogs or horny toads, horned lizards. They would do them all the time, but they just unfortunately just as development picked up and there were less ants, they had less to eat and stuff. So anyway, but they're
nice
awesome
little nice little history entomology lesson here.
I
herpetology. I don't know.
And it's the state reptile of Texas. So
cool.
But this guy is cool. He it's actually translucent, a clear blue and a metallic inner sculpt. So the innards are metallic and the outside is blue with a beautiful like silver paint. And there's 100 of these produced. This is the Donquin Stone version, and there's a lot of other variants. But this thing looks very colorful. This would look good on a shelf with other reptile, not memorabilia, reptile paraphernalia and amphibian paraphernalia and crocodiles and caimans and gators and gharials and everything. Like would fit in Jacob Walsh's house perfectly.
Yeah,
and
love it.
He's just cute looking.
Yeah, I love it. I love his eyes. All the horn. Yeah, this is great.
Okay, number 4. This might be, if it's the one I think it is, might be my personal favorite one on the list. It is from Black Seed, and now we know Black Seed. That's the Nozilla, the Ginora, that guy, Kenneth. Was it Kenneth Tang? He does great stuff. I love my Godzilla, the sushi chef Godzilla, so good. The Gojiji Izakaya. But this one is Yu Xiaolong, and it's the Chinese dragon with the pagoda style temple riding on his back, the 2-headed dragon. And this was originally the first one of these was released way back in 2017. It was a collaboration with Black Seed and Instinct Toys. And those things, if you can find them, and they look exactly like this, just different colorways, are not cheap. And they've released a few. They've done mini versions. They've done different variants. But this was a new one that they released for the Toy Expo. And I think it's just so cool. I don't know. I think that would just stand out on any shelf in any collection.
Well, it's very unique. You don't see this kind of thing a lot. And that's, this is a perfect toy. This is on my list for sure.
Yeah, and like I said, there's a ton of other variants and things to go kind of playing along with this collection. But Black Seed, like I just think of them as the silly kind of knockoff stuff and some of not knockoff, but like parodies of other things. But this is like just straight up amazing. So number 4. Number 3 was the third thing, third most wanted thing by Jake in my head from the Thailand Toy Expo. And that's from Background Infinity Toy Triceratops Boss.
Whoa!
Now, there's a few things on why. So we've had a chat about modern toys, whether it's Saurozoic warriors or some of the other kind of anthropomorphic dinosaurs and animals that have come out, not based on necessarily any animated show or movie, just kind of like the toy line is the emphasis, or excuse me, is the origins of the IP. Well, Infinity Toy has been doing a line called Dino Gangsters for 5 years. And to celebrate it, they released a new Triceratops boss. So he's a Yakuza boss. He has a giant sword. This is 18 inches tall.
That's insane.
It comes with like the loincloth robe, the sandals, all that is soft goods, the real cloth. And he looks like he's badass. So I know obviously you love dinosaurs. That's one of your favorite things in the world. I know you love action figures, but haven't always been 100% just like blown over by some modern toy lines. This brings it to the world of vinyl toys, makes it gigantic. Also, like it's also like a giant katana blade and stuff. I mean, he has this kind of cool, Yakuza, but ancient feudal Japan Yakuza type feel. And it's just a badass looking Triceratops. So I thought this one would be really cool and just neat to have and nothing else like it.
Yeah, no, dude, I agree with that. And it's the size of this. The fact that this is 18 inches, like it's very impressive just looking at it, but I can't imagine what having an 18-inch version of this in front of me it would be like. Yeah, this is amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool. I want to go check out some more of the Dino Gangsters line to see what else he has going on.
Same.
So number 2, totally different than this. If this is on one end of the spectrum, maybe not quite as like grotesque as the hybrid insects, but if those are on that side, the next thing, number 2, would be on the other side of the spectrum. Okay. But I also think you would really, really like it because I know you love cute things. The Villain Baby line, playing in with your love of classic horror icons and monsters like vampires and devils and zombies and ghosts and skeletons and devils and all that good stuff and werewolves. This is the cute vinyl Villain Baby line from Partner Toys. Partner Toys 4 is their Instagram handle. I believe they are a Singapore or a Thai based, I can't remember, company, but they do a lot of really cool stuff. But this is a line they're releasing at the Thai Toy Expo. And there's a clear variant that you can only get there of the devil. You can see him in the back row. Oh, yeah. There's also like a Dia de los Muertos ghost with like the kind of the sugar skull painting that glows in the dark. That's online only that goes with this. But I thought these were just awesome. And you get like a nice little group. They could go next to like your Daruma dolls and all those other cool stuff that you got.
Like the Nagoras, these seem like they would fit perfectly on that shelf. Yeah.
But the classic horror, I mean, I just figured nobody appreciates that stuff more than you.
100%.
Done in a cute fashion. I mean, I love the little bat, the little purple bat with like the pacifier and the like baby vampire bat.
That whole front row is really, I mean, well, all of them, they're all just super cool, super cute. Yeah.
So number 1. Now, number 1 is a little bit of a cheat because it comes from a toy maker that I know you love. And I love, everybody listening here loves, and if you don't, you need to love them because they're awesome. And that's Sun Guts. We love Sun Guts.
Yes.
And they do a lot of really cool stuff. We, both license with Subaraya, license with Toho. They do some of the really, really cool Kappa stuff. Is it Tsukio, I know. And then all these other ones. But they also do one that's of a mythical creature, really big in like Japanese lore, that is part kind of lion, dragon, goat. No, not a chimera, but one head. But it's this beautiful thing. And they have they've released a few of these variants, not a ton. It's not one of their most like voluminous of their releases, but the Shirasawa. It's a 3-eyed, goat, lion, dragon thing. It has very much of that Okinawan King Caesar type vibe, but done in that sun gut style. And I absolutely love this kind of milky ivory colorway with the 3 red eyes popping, the kind of deer, goat, dragon horns, and there's some on the side too. The lion face with the big teeth and stuff. This is Shirasawa. Only 5 of this variant were released for the expo.
5.
I absolutely love this one, but this is one I thought if you walk by it, you'd be like, you know what? Mythical creature, really awesome mythical creature. I think I'm going to buy this one. And I thought this would be your number 1 on your list. So Jake, those are the top 10 things that you would buy at the Thailand Toy Expo.
Dude, well, here's the thing. I love all of it. So if I was making the list, maybe some of the numbers would be a little different.
Mm-hmm.
But the number
this
would be my number 1. This would be my number 1. I think the fly would be further up.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Triceratops is probably in a good spot. But yeah, this for sure, dude. This would 100% be number 1 out of everything we just looked at.
Yeah, me too. That one in the Yu Xiaolong from Black Seed, I think, with the dragon with the temple on the back. I think those would be my favorite too. I think of all of them. So really good stuff though. Like I said, there were dozens of vendors and exhibitors at this one. It was a big, maybe not big as like Decon, but definitely more than some of the smaller shows. A lot of good stuff. They have a website, they have a Instagram. Like you go check out some of the really cool stuff from the Thailand Toy Expo. I was very blown away by how much like cool stuff. I almost did one thing though. They had one artist, and I can't remember the name, but they did these really big, like super stylized Transformers, and I was like, I know Jake hates Transformers so much. I was like, I was gonna put that number 1, but I didn't. I saw Shirasawa, and I was like, this will be more in line. But yeah, some really good stuff.
Thank you. That's a fun segment. That we could do that more often with other some other conventions or something.
Well, it's good for us to learn, because like both of us, like we know, we're adjacent to a lot of the designer vinyl stuff, but we are not like super collectors. Like some of our listeners are. I mean, I talked to Michael Lynch at Sweaty Vinyl, and I mean he's a super collector, and Jess at Red Robot Stinks is another lady that is a friend of ours that she collects, like knows everything about designer vinyl toys, and like their stuff is really cool, but I'm not as familiar with it, so I love like kind of learning and seeing some of these, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I understand why people collect these pieces of art. They're beautiful.
Yeah, good stuff, dude. I like that a lot. Now I want it all. Now I'm like,
so we don't need more stuff to want to buy, right? We need less.
Cool. Well, dude, is that it?
All I got.
Is that it for now? Well, you know what? We're 32 minutes in. We're gonna get back to Kong. We'll talk about Godzilla vs. Kong. I saw it the day it was that Thursday or whatever that first day. You did too, right? Did you see it that first day?
I did. I wasn't planning on, not because that wasn't like me taking a stand on it. That was unfortunately I had some stuff going on that day I wasn't able to get out of, and I was like, okay, like maybe I can catch a later showing, and it just didn't look like it was going to happen. And then I think about 8:45, I just got tired of seeing everybody's pictures at the theater, and I was like, I'm going. So I just right when the kids went to bed, I went to the next showing of the closest theater. I was like, I can't wait till the next morning. So I went and saw it that night. I think the 9:30 or 10 o'clock showing, something like that.
Now, have you only seen it the once?
I've only seen it one time. Yeah, and that's once again, don't read into that. Like I will probably try to go see it again, but it wasn't one that I was like, I got to go see it right away again. It wasn't that, and that's not a bad thing. It's just that it didn't evoke that need like maybe other films have.
Well, it's the only MonsterVerse movie that I only saw once.
Oh wow!
And I mean, I might see it again. I actually, what I really wanted to do is, there's a drive-in a couple hours from me in Ocala, and I don't know. They change what they're showing every week, but for a week there, they do 2 movies. It's 2 movies, so you pay and see 2 movies on a screen. And for a week, they were doing Ghostbusters and Godzilla on one screen, and I was like, man, at a drive-in, this would be awesome.
The Jacob Walsh double feature,
but it's
man.
you know, it's 2 hours away, and I couldn't make it in that week time. So I don't know if those movies are still showing together. I'd have to go check. But yeah, I saw it once. I don't even know this movie's insane. It's so fucking insane.
Hey, but you know what's insane? You know, even more than the movie is the fact that this thing is making a ton of money.
I'm glad. I'm glad it is, and I think I knew it would make. I mean, like the
projections were all low, and I was really shocked when they were saying it was only going to bring in like 50 million opening week, and then it would have finished like 80 or something, 75.
I mean, Godzilla versus Kong. I'd looked up all this information because I was curious about what it was doing versus Ghostbusters. I don't remember all the numbers now, but Godzilla versus Kong came out in March of a pandemic. Like literally, we have a video on here. I got my vaccination and then drove to see Godzilla versus Kong that night. So, and that movie did really good, even in COVID,
saved the movie theater industry.
It did. So, so I was like, man, of course this movie's going to do. Yeah, I know for a while we thought Godzilla versus Kong was going to be the last one. And I think before the movie was released, I think they had come out and said this is the last one. But then it did good.
Remember we were talking about it was going to be Son of Kong. Was like the rumored next one. Like Toho was going to take back the property, and they wasn't going to have
Godzilla in it.
It was going to explore the Kong stuff, and we knew the Netflix thing was coming out. The anime is like, okay, that supports that. It's Skull Island, and then no, not at all.
What's weird though?
Apple
What's
TV.
weird? What's weird is this clearly at some point was just a Son of Kong movie. Like they kind of had to shoehorn Godzilla into it. Yeah. And Suko has more screen time than any other fucking kaiju in this movie other than
this
Kong.
Movie's it's a Kong x Suko.
It clearly was Son of Kong, and they were like, oh shit, let's put Godzilla back in.
You mentioned the financials real quick because I know you said you didn't look at it, but I did bring them just so you can like this is through like yesterday. I think
what are we doing?
So far we've done 361 million worldwide.
Okay.
And 135 million domestic. The budget was about 140. The published budget, right? Like we know, obviously, like there's so much other stuff. But of course, we also don't know how much it brings in on licensing deals with Playmates and all the other Monster Jam and everything else that it does, right? But I think the trend is very positive. It had the natural drop off from week 1 to week 2, but I mean, we're looking at something that'll make probably 550 million globally.
Yeah.
And China and other international markets are digging it. So I think it'll continue to do really well, but
for sure they're making another one. There's more coming.
Oh yeah.
Like 100%. It's going to happen. Yeah.
100%.
So
not to cut you off, but that's a lot of money.
You're good. Yeah. Jay, what do we think of this movie? I don't know. I don't even really know where to start here. Like, did you like this movie?
So I start with this because I don't think the answer is a simple yes or no. I really don't. And I believe this. Did I come out of it smiling and having a good time? Yes, I did. But I put it in the context of what it is. So if I had to rank my favorite Godzilla time periods or series, Legendary's at the bottom. MonsterVerse is at the bottom.
Yeah.
It's not to say that I don't like I don't like it at all. It's just it's not the show or the heisei for me.
Sure.
And this film within the context of the Godzilla franchise is at the bottom. But for me, in the context of the MonsterVerse, I actually think it's probably right in the middle. So for me,
really?
and there's a few reasons why. Yeah. So I have Godzilla 2014, I think is like the clear-cut winner for me, for the MonsterVerse. Then I think Kong Skull Island is next because it's a fun adventure. I think it's really well done. Mm-hmm. To me, the next two I flip-flop on are really King of the Monsters, a severely flawed movie, storyline, whatever, but it plays up so much fan service to me as a super fan that there's enough in there. The music is great. And this one, which we'll talk about why that's in my thing. And then to me, my least favorite though it has some of my favorite moments, but overall from start to finish is after rewatch is Godzilla versus Kong. And even though the aircraft carrier scene, Hong Kong, the moment where they kill Mechagodzilla, all great moments in the MonsterVerse and the Godzilla franchise. I would say like, because I think this is a superior to that one because they took what worked in that one and got rid of some of the stuff that wasn't working. And I think they found a formula that is not for everybody, that has its limitations, but I think they are going to milk that the same way that we have the Fast and the Furious franchise, the same reason we have all these other franchises that, you know, they're not going to be Kurosawa's Ikaru. They're going to be something else. And so I enjoyed it. I thought it was, I thought they have an identity now without what I think the MonsterVerse is going to be, as opposed to jumping around tonality from a serious grounded movie that jumps to an action adventure, that jumps to a fan servicey jumbled mess, but has amazing kaiju we all know, to we're trying to put humans in and lots of stories going on at once. And there's also this iconic battle, the mess that was Godzilla versus Kong. And now I think they said, look, it's not going to be about people. It's going to be the kaiju story is going to be up front, but we're just going to lean into the wacky, over the top action, Fast and the Furious style stuff and view it within the context, or place it within the context of a kaiju movie. So, and all that stuff, I think it was, like I said, it was enjoyable.
Yeah. It is, yeah, dude, everything you said is for sure. But, to me, I'm going to put it at the very bottom. To me. Whoa. Yeah, it's down there for me. Yeah, Jay, I was pretty excited when I heard Adam Wingard was going to do some Godzilla movies. I'm a big fan of the movie The Guest. It's really great. But I feel like his two films are bottom of the MonsterVerse for me. Now, that doesn't mean I think they're bad. There's definitely a bunch of fun stuff in both movies. But there are things... You know, like you get a lot of people who complain about too much human characters, and I don't always think that's a bad thing to have human characters in these movies. But but the human characters have to be fun, well written, and not annoying. Yeah. And a problem with both of these movies is the guy who's the like conspiracy theorist,
Bernie.
Bernie is the worst. Character. He's so painfully unfunny. Yeah. And I'm also like over this thing where we make conspiracy theorists be right all the time. Like,
right. Yeah.
we live in a world where conspiracy theorists is a real thing, and they're the worst fucking people to deal with. Like, they are the worst people. They believe the dumbest shit. But for some reason we make them always be right in movies. And I don't think we should be that behavior should not be applauded.
Unless it's Ray Stanson podcast and Ghostbusters. Those are the only people that are allowed to...
Right. But like flat earth, hollow, like, come on, stop it. Like, so Bernie fucking annoys me so much that I'm like, hey, I need even less human characters in this movie.
Yeah. So I agree with you, and I think I took it from a different angle, right? Everything that you said, I'm aligned with. So let's look at the two Wingard movies. So Godzilla versus Kong, just too many human characters, and none of them were done well. Like, I don't think, like, nobody cares about the Billy Bobby Brown character. Nobody cared about the eco-terrorists, and nobody cared about Bernie or any of those. Like, and none of the characters were funny. None of them, like, you didn't like latch on to any of them and be like, this is my journey. I'm going with this character, right? You didn't care who lived and died. None of it mattered. But yet in Godzilla versus Kong, I felt like it was still like the humans, the eco-terrorism was the main thing. And the monsters were like plot devices, and it was just, how do we avoid, like, how do we make sure they don't do this and that? And at the end of the day, an apex was the main thing. And the monsters were just kind of vessels that were there. In this one, I felt I gave them credit because I was like, they cut out a lot of characters. They still haven't created a character that I give two craps about. Gia's the closest.
She's the best one. Yeah,
And,
that's what I was gonna say. Gia's the best character.
Yeah,
and she's the one who doesn't fucking talk.
I know, right? And I'd say she's also like the closest thing they have to somebody that say you want them to succeed in their journey, right? But
I was just gonna say, they had a really great one, and they killed him off in Godzilla King of the Monsters. It was Serizawa.
Yeah, it was.
He was an awesome character.
Yeah,
and they fucking killed him off, and now we have like they don't feel like real people anymore. They're all just like one note personalities. They don't, you know. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt your.
No. Monarch Legacy of Monsters. I forget the name of the lady, the head researcher lady. She is the closest thing any MonsterVerse thing is produced since Serizawa that I would say
she's great.
Is a character we care about. And I thought Wyatt Russell's character, Lee Shaw, was good too. Him and Kurt Russell's both.
I did too.
So I felt like I view this as a positive because they said, look, we're not only are we going to cut the cast down. So I think that was a positive. Still a negative on a character I care about. They have not figured that part out yet. But I felt that the story here, the kaiju was their history, and we can argue whether that's a good story or not. But that history was actually the main line, the storyline.
Yeah,
and the characters were just who you used to kind of view.
Sure,
they
were just exposition.
Yeah, whereas. As you know, that wasn't the case. So I view this better than Godzilla versus Kong because they minimized what they can't do well yet, and they tried to highlight what people care about. Now, does that lead to really zany, silly stuff and just off the wall, wacky shit? Yes, but I think they're leaning into that, and I think it's just like. I hate saying it because I don't know much about the franchise. So some of this is a little bit of projection on what I think I know. But at the time, it's a Fast and the Furious vibe. Like it just feels like
I don't like that.
No, I know. I'm just saying. But I think that's what those movies make a ton of money. But I'm saying I think that's what they're going with. How it evolved from the last movie to this, I feel like that's what they're latching on to.
Yeah. For my personal taste, I'd rather it be closer to 2014.
Oh, me too.
And to MonsterVerse, like they fucking just made a whole show that felt closer to 2014. Why do we go back? I don't understand why we're going back and forth. The reasons that I think Godzilla versus Kong is better than Godzilla X Kong is because the fight scenes between Godzilla and Kong,
great,
all of them. There are 0 scenes in this movie that are as good as Godzilla and Kong fighting on that aircraft carrier.
Yeah,
there are
or the Hong Kong. I think or the Hong Kong fight,
or the Hong
neon.
Kong fight.
I think that one is better. And then at the moment, we talked about it in our top 10 scenes. I think the moment that Kong and Godzilla team together and kill Mechagodzilla is great. And like I said, I think those scenes are better than anything in this film. Agree.
Yeah. And even though I think it's the worst Mechagodzilla design of all time,
yes.
that whole scene is still the final boss in that movie is more fun, more compelling, and more a bigger threat. It feels like than Scar King and Shimu, who's just like a big puppy dog. Hey, here's my biggest criticism. Shimu is like, it's Shimu. Shimo is built up to be the ultimate. There's like supplemental stuff that's not in the movie, but in some of the other where they say Shimo is the one who put Ghidorah on ice. Shimo was responsible for the last ice age.
Yep.
Shimo is supposed to be the one that came down in the star, and there's at the end of one of the other Godzilla movies, there's the carving of Godzilla and Shimo fighting. They try to build Shimo up to be like, holy fuck, this is the biggest threat. And then as soon as they break that shard of crystal or whatever, she's like a big puppy dog.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and she's not scary, and she's like looking at Godzilla like she's in love with him. You know, she has that scene where she's like, whoa, what is happening? You know, she's all happy. King Kong's riding her at the fucking end.
No, yeah,
I was like, hold on.
Like, he upgrades from Doug to Shimo as his pet.
Yeah. I'm like, hold on, Shimo is not like threatening in the least, even when Scar King has her under his control. It's still like not really. I'm like, oh, cool. She frostbit Kong's arm. That's it.
Yeah.
Like I think the both villains in this movie are. I said it before. I think they're lazy to make them just evil versions of God, but they're just so. Godzilla and Kong are so much like overpowered compared to these two.
Yeah, so I will tell you, this is one thing we absolutely agree on. I think the biggest miss on this whole film, and this is whether I'm looking at it from a I love film and I love Godzilla, or from a in the view of the MonsterVerse, doesn't matter. The biggest miss is our Scar King and Shimo, because Scar King, if you're going to have a design that is not new and unique and can stand on its own, right? Like something we've never seen before, you have to make that villain credible. And all they did, like I thought it was a good start. When I saw him, you see kind of him menacing, like lounging on there, and I'm thinking this guy's going to be so much more intelligent. And when he does the dastardly thing and kicks Zuko's dad into the fire, I'm like, okay. But at no point do I ever like I needed him to go up to Earth and like destroy some landmarks.
He doesn't do anything.
I needed him to.
All he does is yell at a bunch of other gorillas,
and he has the magic crystal out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
So like to me, like he's just a poorly done villain. But I do think it could have been done well. I think there's an alternate universe where that villain is because like him being like physically weaker and smaller than him means he just has to be double evil, right? He has to make up for it. I need to have like this serial killer dictator, like Mussolini mindset of this guy, right?
Yeah.
And you don't get it. We don't see any of that. Like right away, he's like overmatched by Kong until he has his little crystal, you know? And then Shimo, like what we get is not what like it's built up to be. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And the freezing ice power and stuff, like fine. Like I can do that. But like there was nothing about her and Scar King as a team that I thought was ever going to beat Godzilla and Kong.
No.
That to me, I think was the thing. Like I think that was the thing that hurt the movie the most to me in my just pure enjoyment of it was just I wanted like I was there for like the high fun, like crazy moments. The battle between the kaiju was just at the bottom, which was sad because it was the opposite in the last movie where those battles were amazing. The
battles were great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I felt the same way. They were just so underwhelming to me. Another thing that I got a couple big things that I thought were weird. Kong in this movie. Now, this happened because of the choice to have less humans in it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are Kong is the main character.
Oh yeah, movie. It's his journey. Yeah, it's
but
him.
There are because of that we have gotten to a point where Kong is too humanized. He is too. You might as well just fucking have him speak English at this point. He's like. Going around. I mean, he can understand English.
Mm-hmm.
He can understand what the humans are saying to him.
Mm-hmm.
He can speak sign language.
Yep.
He's going around smiling. You can see him thinking. You know, they've made him so smart at this point, and it's too much. Like all the stuff where he's like with Zuko and they're exploring. You know. And they come across the other apes and stuff. I was just like, it's too silly. It is too like King Kong at this point does not feel like a gorilla. It feels just like a human. It's like it's just weird and I don't like it. And it brings up like, also like Kong being the only one of his species is like kind of his deal.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that now there's just a bunch of Kongs, I'm just like, I don't dig that. Like, at first when the trailer started coming out, I was like, oh, well, these are all, whatever Scar King is like an orangutan or something. Yeah. He's like different. And I at first thought they were all going to be that, but then they're not. I was like,
so some bonobos and some
Zuko's red, and he looks like he might be an orangutan. But when he gets that, I'm like, these are just other Kongs in here.
Yeah.
And I just feel weird by that because I feel like Kong works better as just being the only one of his species. And also I'm like, why do they seem like they're stuck down here? Are they? They don't show you. Kong just walks up to their area.
Well, they have the membrane. Remember, like that has to get removed. That they sealed up. That Mothra sealed up at the end.
Yeah, that is so super arbitrary, and it's only in there because people ask the question I just asked.
It's the subterranean level. Yeah,
that's only in there because they made the movie and then said, "Hey, how come those gorillas don't just walk out?" And someone's like, Mothra puts a thing there."
It's a literal plot hole.
It is. And then someone's like, well, hey, isn't Mothra dead? And they're like, oh, that's okay. She can just appear literally out of nowhere. No egg. I thought it was going to be an egg at first. I'm like, oh, this is going to be cool. We're going to have like some Mothra stuff and she's going to emerge from a cocoon. But hey, no, she just materializes.
Well, I give him a pass on that because she wasn't. It was that other kaiju, phosphorine or whatever that was supposed to be there.
They cut something out.
They cut and they put, and then I get that, but you're right. I actually like Mothra in this film. I thought Mothra doesn't die.
I like Mothra too. I thought all the Mothra stuff, even though I just said that about the way she shows up. Yeah, I'm happy Mothra was there. I like that they
needed an egg scene.
Yeah,
they need an egg scene because like that's the whole point of like Mothra. It's like there's always an egg and an adult, right? There's always an egg and an adult, and like the other one, we don't know how they have those eggs. There's only one, but it's like a Sith Lords, I mean, the Mothra is there's always an apprentice. We needed an egg, and the whole Iwi storyline with the tribe down there, like that to me, that was another one I didn't love in that whole subterranean layer because I liked the idea of the natives and stuff and the ones with the Kong Island, but I really wanted to kind of understand more of that lore of like why some are down there and why some are up there. And I thought that was a little bit shoehorned in, but
it's weird to, no, dude, you're right. So I didn't mean to talk over you. It's also weird that they basically make the same tribe that's Kong's tribe, Mothra's tribe now. And it's like, wait, this is two different people.
Yeah.
They can't be Kong worshippers and Mothra worshippers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's weird. Hey, another thing that popped out to me as being kind of weird is so like halfway through the movie, Godzilla's like, oh, I got to power up.
I knew you were going to talk about this, yeah.
And he swims to Tiamat's home. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, cool. We're going to see Tiamat's in this because I know Tiamat's like in one of the comics or something.
Yeah, and the name has been mentioned on like
the map. They talked about it.
You've seen it on like the kind of not the Easter eggs, but the little set stuff that you've seen on the past movies, King of the Monsters.
Well, they mention it. And I'm like, oh, cool. We'll see like Tiamat. And Tiamat kind of looks like Mando. It's like, oh, this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
And then but then I'm realizing, oh, so Godzilla is going to Tiamat. Specifically to kill this kaiju, to take his power, basically, to supercharge himself. Tiamat is just chilling, not causing any problems.
No, she's doing nothing wrong.
Godzilla is supposed to be like the protector. And I was like, oh, this is kind of a shitty thing they make Godzilla do. I was like, they just have Godzilla go and murder a Titan that's causing no issues for anybody.
Yep.
So he could be super powered.
Yep.
To do nothing really. To
suplex.
Just,
he did a big suplex of a pyramid.
And I was like, and then also they don't show the fight really. They don't really. There's no. It just happens really quickly. And I was like, it's weird to me they would have Godzilla do that to power up. You know.
Yeah. I mean,
that's a villain thing to do.
Yeah, it is, and I think Tiamat, if it would have got out and like, oh my gosh, like Tiamat must be sensing Godzilla's awake, and so she's charging up, eating all this energy or whatever, and now she's out going to attack things, and Godzilla kills it, and then because of that, but no, it is like a premeditated, I got to charge up, so I'm going to go kill something that has the ability to ingest basically this energy. So kind of doing like the opposite of Mothra, who gives her energy when she's dying to Godzilla. He's like, I'm going to take it from this one that's still alive. Yeah, got total dick move by Godzilla.
I felt weird. I felt weird by it in a universe where Godzilla is supposed to be like the protector.
At the beginning of the film in Italy, in Rome, like he defeats Skyla to protect, and like then takes a nap at the Colosseum. Like, I was like, they are hammering home the protector of his realm, the Earth. Like, I love that. And then and this is almost like counter to that. That was I didn't love that. And I was excited to see another, we got Skyla, but I was excited to see Tiamat, and that was underwhelming. And also confusing. And I didn't love it. Yeah.
Jay, let's talk about, we'll talk about Zuko. We did get Doug.
We did get Doug.
He was in there. Best part of the movie, honestly, was Doug.
I think there's probably a deleted scene where we see what Doug was up to, but also like kind of sad he got Shimo is like kind of Kong's new pet. I really want Doug to get down there and be like, hey, no. I live with Kong.
I wanted to see like Zuko and Doug being buddies or
go on an adventure. 100%. Hey, Doug's pretty strong, dude. I mean, he took that away from Kong. Like, he's pretty strong.
Away from Kong, it's pretty crazy. Well, so what did you think of Zuko?
Okay. So I think the CGI and the look of it was not great. I don't think so. I just was like, it was hard. Like in a movie where the CGI is not great to begin with, at least I didn't feel it was. Zuko, I like almost stood out as like it was like unfinished, and I don't have like an eye for that stuff. I'm not an expert in any of that stuff, but just from an untrained like viewer of the film, I just felt like it almost like stood out. Like if you plopped down like Godzilla 98 into like, a modern movie. But I will say I kind of liked they made Zuko a little shithead.
He's a fucking asshole.
I know. And my favorite part of the whole movie, no joke, maybe my second favorite besides when I actually caught one of the little nice little fan service nods about Jet Jaguar. But other than that, my favorite part of the movie was like when Kong took him and was beating the other great apes with Zuko. That was like I think that was the highlight of the film.
When I saw it, I was like, "Oh, Zuko's dead." I was like, "Zuko is now dead."
So, hey, he's tough little shit though. He is tough.
He is. Hey, what's this Jet Jaguar thing?
So, when they pan down from the Coliseum and you see the little graffiti Godzilla, and there's lots of those little Easter egg type things. There's like the Planet X spaceship and all that stuff. It has the punch.
Yeah.
And so I didn't catch any of the other Easter eggs on that screen except for punch. So
I didn't catch any of them when I saw it.
So when it scrolls down and it pans down to that, and I'm looking at it, and a lot of this times it's just luck. My eyes are just like fixated on that, and I audibly say in the film, and there's people sitting next to me, right? I'll go, Jet Jaguar. They're like, people look at me, I'm like, oh no. But yes, I was like, oh, punch.
Yeah, I didn't notice any of those Easter. I was just looking at the Godzilla eating the pizza.
Yeah.
And didn't even look around. It wasn't until after I saw any of that stuff.
But that one and Doug being used as a weapon, I think were my two highlights.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other highlights that maybe I had for the movie, and I can't think of it.
Oh, I know one. I know one you're gonna love that you had to have.
Which one?
The fact that when Kong gets the injured hand, and they just happen to have the prototype glove that just happens to have the anti-frostbite and medicine already loaded in, and the dude just goes and grabs it.
It's just there. The guy just runs again. Hey, I did like that character. The veterinarian
I did too.
Guy.
Yeah.
So that guy is in the movie The Guest, which is also directed by Adam Wingard. And I really think anybody who hasn't seen The Guest should go check that out because I think his name's Dan Simmons. He's great in it. Hey, he's also in the movie. Oh. I've never seen that, but he's in another kaiju movie. Oh, he's in Colossal.
He is.
He is her boyfriend. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I totally forgot about that.
He's great. He's a good actor. He's in a lot of good stuff. I like that character. I thought he was charming and he was fun and he was silly.
And you think about it, as silly as it sounds on the surface, if we live in a world where there are giant beasts and there could be more coming, like you would think at least one person in the world would have to kind of become not necessarily a vet of giant titans, but like have a more of a kind of medical understanding
like an expert.
of it.
Yeah.
I mean, there could be, especially when like some of the titans are helpful, like Kong, and you know you're communicating with, and in this movie, very much so communicating with. So I like that. I thought he was really good. I mean, he didn't have time to have a backstory or anything, but he helped. I like kind of, he had a little bit of that hippie vibe type thing going. It felt like free spirit. I like that. What did you think of, speaking of human characters, what did you think of the tough as nails, asshole-ish guy that got eaten by the tree? The pilot. I was like,
he was annoying, and he was so annoying that it was like, he's there just to get eaten by something. It's like, he's gonna get killed. Well, so I was like waiting for it.
I felt like when I was watching, I was like, "Oh, Jake, this is right up Jake's alley." It's like,
I loved it.
If you're watching like in Congo or Anaconda, who the guys that are going to get
100%
come up and like
I liked that for sure. You know what? I didn't have a problem with any of the other human characters. It's just Bernie. Bernie's I was like, why is Bernie even here? I was like, why did we continue Bernie's? How come he's the one they kept?
He's the Jar Jar
last movie. I don't get it. And that actor is pretty good. I have nothing against the actor. It's just that role, that dialogue was all so stupid. Yeah. Hey, I like Godzilla in this movie. I think it looks great. I think, I don't like, he had a little bit of a mean streak, but I do think the pink Godzilla looks good. I like the evolved Godzilla. Yeah. It's a really nice visual. Yeah. But another thing that I found interesting about I know we already talked about the Tiamat stuff.
Yeah.
But making it where, so like, whenever all the toys started coming out, they called him Evolved Godzilla. Yeah. So everybody just jumped to the conclusion where, Godzilla's natural life, he's evolving. He is different now than he was. But then when you watch it in the movie and you see it in the context where Godzilla needs some extra energy, so he goes and kills a kaiju and kind of steals his energy, makes it seem like that energy is going to be expelled, and maybe next time we see Godzilla, he's just going to be Godzilla again. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel permanent. The pink and the changes don't feel permanent that way, which I would have been fine with the permanent pink, but I'm fine if he goes back to the other way. I don't have a big say in that. I'm good either way. I don't want him flexibility. I don't ever want him to get too far away from the things that make him Godzilla.
No wings.
No wings. Yeah, no wings. So yeah, dude, I mean, the movie was fun. I had fun with it. Yeah. But I would like, for whatever happens next, I want the quality to go up a little bit, a couple notches.
On the story portion of it?
Well, on the story, on the way it looks. There's a lot of things here. Like I said, I think this is, I mean, if I were ranking MonsterVerse, it's going to be 2014. It's going to be Kong, Skull Island. Dude, the Kong in Kong Skull Island seems like a different Kong than we have now. It seems completely different. I know he's young in that movie, but think about the visuals of that Kong with all the fire in front of him. And then this Kong's got an axe on his shoulder, and he's like smiling, and he's got a little kid
infinity gauntlet. Yeah,
get the fuck out of here. 2014, Kong Skull Island, King of the Monsters, Godzilla versus Kong. Godzilla X Kong.
Yeah, so we're pretty similar. It's just the bottom two. Yeah,
but I cannot have the next movie can't be under this one. It needs to start going back up, because every one being, I don't want to say worse, because
yours is the release schedule.
Right, exactly. The movies can't get worse every time. There has to be somewhere like, whoa, this one's awesome. It can't be the order they come out, because then they just...
Well, I don't... here's the thing, and I'm not saying this is the right way or not. I'm saying this is what I think will happen. This is my prediction.
Okay.
I think, assume this continues on, this makes $500 million. I think that they are going to continue to hyper focus on the insane parts of it. I think it's going to get more like this and more crazy than it is going to shift back to what we liked in 2014. Now, I don't know, and that was a question I really wanted to ask you. Like, the challenge with that is, how do you get more insane? I mean, it has to be Godzilla in space, but other than that, like, I don't know. Like, I think it's gonna. I think they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna go back. I think they're gonna continue to make the MonsterVerse this style because I think they feel it could work and it can sell toys and kids like it and all that good stuff.
Sure. I think it kind of depends on what happens with Adam Wingard if he's directing the next one, because you know, I mean, who directed Skull Island? Do you remember? We got Gareth Edwards, who did 2014.
Yeah, and
then we got Daughtry did King of the Monsters.
Yeah.
I don't know who did Skull Island, but at the beginning of this, it was different directors every movie.
Yeah.
And then we got Wingard for Godzilla versus Kong, and then they gave him the next one. I'm assuming if he says, hey, you know what? I want to keep directing Godzilla movies, then the next one will be just like these two.
Yeah. If
they get a new director, maybe the tone it's not going to feel exactly the same. The tone will shift. That's all the tonal shifts have been with different directors. Yep. And now I like Adam Wingard. I think he's done some great stuff. But I think his time in the MonsterVerse, it's time to maybe move on, I think. Or give him another movie. I don't know. Give him a side movie or something. I think the next Godzilla film, I would like to see a new director.
Maybe. I think it's gonna be Wingard. I think he's gonna ride this. Like, he's gonna have like 11 MonsterVerse films when it's all said and done.
Don't do that to me. Don't put that on me.
It was Jordan Vogt Roberts that did that.
Right.
Yeah. No, I really do think
bring him back.
Yeah, I thought he did a great like adventure, and John C. Reilly was wonderful in that. But anyway, no, I like I said, I'm not saying it's the right approach. I'm not saying it's what I would do. I'm just saying I really do think they're going to milk it. Now, we never know what's going to happen, with other properties, and if they're well received and things like if there's another season of Monarch and people love it, or there is something else like we don't know. But like, to me, I think they found the formula. Look, I can put out an insane movie and really push the envelope of insanity as long as it has Godzilla and or Kong in it, and I can make $500 million. I can sell a metric crap ton of toys. I can get licensing deals with everybody and make money from other corporations that want to tap into this because it hits a certain demographic. And it also, Toho's like, yes, because more money you make, we make, but also it brings new people into the Godzilla film franchise that wouldn't normally do that. And that's the thing I think that maybe us as Godzilla fans of this age, and also we've been Godzilla fans for a long time, but sometimes we forget, is that, when you're a 10-year-old kid, it's less likely that you're going to go and find a movie from 1964 and watch it on your own than it is going to see a MonsterVerse movie that is out there everywhere. And as people go in, just because it's your entry into the Godzilla franchise doesn't mean that's what defines your love of Godzilla, right? So, like, I think this is going to be an entry point. It's going to grow a lot of Godzilla fans. And I think that's what the MonsterVerse, and using a marketing term, is an upper funnel solution. It's to bring people into the franchise, and then eventually they expand into the Toho part of it.
Sure.
And I think Toho sees that. And I would love to see the numbers on like of the money they make, how much. We're like newer fans of a certain younger age to bring them in there. So I think that's one reason we won't get a tonality shift back to the more 2014-esque, because I guarantee you this one with pink Godzillas and Sukos and everything are going to sell a lot more toys than 2014 did to younger folks. So that's where I think it's going to go. And ultimately it's going to be good because it'll get more eyeballs on Godzilla Toho stuff, and we'll get more stuff from there too, and more animes and more other things. But that's my reason why I think that we're not going to go back to more grounded. It's going to continue to be more along the lines of the last two. But I could be wrong. I mean, I'm always wrong.
I hope you are. I'm gonna be happy no matter what. You know, like if more Godzilla comes, I'm gonna be excited to see it. I'm still gonna see it on day one.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen a lot of people in the fandom say that we're in like the MonsterVerse Showa era. I think that's disrespectful to the Showa era.
Oh
to
my
say
God,
that.
Jake! I'm so glad
to
you brought that
compare
up.
these movies to like, listen, they're silly and they're fun, and maybe in that way you could say Showa era. But you can give me any single movie out of the Showa era, and they all have like more charm, more heart, characters that I actually like to watch on screen, characters that are actually funny to me, or more than just funny. Like some of them have like legitimate, you know, good storylines happening. You know, I just think Showa is a big important thing, and just throwing that word around for MonsterVerse movies is like just chill out a little bit.
Can I tell you, this is becoming a very big pet peeve of mine, because I think it's, you know, this is going to piss a lot of people off. I think it's a lazy descriptor, and I do think the one thing it has in common is the Showa era started off with serious, grounded 54, and it became over time less about that, right?
Yeah.
And this one started out 2014, and it's become less about that. Yes, that there's just that similarity. I get that, but everything that you said, the charm, the human characters are so much better, and also the human characters are always the primary storyline in almost all the Showa era stuff, and Godzilla is just there as a savior or as a hindrance and a resistance piece.
Some of those movies he's barely in.
Yeah, 100%. But also a lot of those films have a thematic message that whether it's environmental safety or whether it's you know, the danger of atomic weapons, whether it's, you know, it could be a lot of different things. There's no message on the last, especially the last two, right? Especially, I mean, I guess you could say there was the eco-terrorist message in the last one, but I don't think that there is, just because there is different tones, but that's going to happen with any film franchise or series that's more than one or two films. Like, it's going to happen. I mean, you know about it in Ghostbusters, right? Like, I mean, it's there's tonality shifts, and that's, you know, 4 films. And I don't think it does not scream Showa just because there's like people, or Godzilla does some wacky things, and he also does some wacky things in the Showa. I think that is just a lazy nitpicking like one or two things and kind of, or cherry picking one or two things and putting them together. I think the MonsterVerse is the MonsterVerse, and the Showa era is the Showa era, and I would not compare them in that sense, other than the fact they had a very serious opening film that gradually got less serious. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I don't see it.
I agree.
Yeah. I have one other thing kind of on that same vein that you see a lot in the arguments and stuff online. I'm curious to get your take on it. So there's the thinking that, like, when we see as fans, Godzilla fans, and let's say fans that aren't huge into the MonsterVerse, you know, the older fans like us, right? You see Godzilla do silly things in the Showa era that, you know, drop kick. We love them. We cheer. We love it. We see Ultraman do crazy things in old Showa era Ultraman stuff. We see all these kaiju films. We love Gilala, right? Like, it's super zany and crazy. And we're very happy and super, it's fun. But that when we see him do stupid shit in MonsterVerse, it's more of the eye roll, like, oh, that's so terrible. Is it fair for us to be able to do that? Or do you think it's like we're holding different Godzillas to different level, kind of double standards?
We probably are a little bit.
Yeah.
It's probably a little bit
wrong
of a
with
double.
that.
It's a little bit of a double standard, but also, like, when I'm watching movies like this, the weirder, that's the kind of stuff, like, you know, there's the scene where Kong very briefly, like, jumps on Godzilla's back. It's the scene where they're running. The scene from the trailer where they're running, where that cuts off in the trailer is Kong, like, kind of jumps on his back and then uses it. And I'm like, that's the best shot in the movie. That's what I want. If I'm going to watch a movie like this, then do more shit like that, you know? So I don't know, man. It's all different. And there's so many of these movies. There's like almost 40 of these movies at this point. You have to judge every movie by its own little world that it's created, or its little, you know, pocket of movies around it. So it can be a little unfair to be like, oh, well, the Showa movies did it. Why am I mad here? But it's like, well, Showa movies came out in the 70s. And,
Yes.
they also have all these other things going for it that this movie might not have going for it. So it's like there's all sets of parameters and shit.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And I also think, we talk about this a lot on our shows. Like, we see a movie that's low budget and has its stuff and it's like charming, and we see some that are low budget and the same thing and that are boring or bad.
Yeah,
I think everything is a case by case analysis.
A Showa movie, in a Showa movie, if something's low budget, somebody still spent a lot of time building a suit, and we're still watching a suit and actual actors and miniatures, and like there's something that you can look at and be like, holy fuck, this took so much time.
So if we see a wire, it's not a big deal.
Right. But then you're watching this movie and you're looking at Suko, who looks like a piece of shit. Yeah. And it's like, this is all computer generated. Yeah. Nobody spent, how much time was actually spent on it? It's very different.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I think that's a great answer. I just was curious because I've heard a lot of that, and it's, nobody's ever going to be happy in any franchise. But we just try to roll with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Jay, I don't have anything else to say about this movie. I hope they continue. Was it my ideal Godzilla movie? No, but I'm still happy with watching a Godzilla movie in the theater. I'm always going to have fun doing that. So I do hope we get more. I hope there's a couple changes, but I hope there's some more.
You don't think this was like a direct follow up to Godzilla -1?
That's probably another part of the problem is that I just saw -1 3 times in the theater and was moved to tears all 3 times. Yeah. So like watching that and then watching this immediately, it's like you have to clear.
It's hard to separate. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to clear your brain and be like, these are, don't let that,
Wait, we've never lived in a world where there are 2 different Godzilla universes going on at the same time.
Yeah,
we just have never lived in that, and now it's hard because we're so used to have like, if we can get one movie ever so often, great. It's like now it's like, oh wow, we got 2 totally
now they're happening,
and very different, right?
Godzilla's all over the fucking place. It's insane.
Maybe this will be the next movie. Maybe we get some.
My God,
a giant kappa riding a cucumber.
I would love that. Let's do that. Jay, you got anything else?
Man, I enjoyed talking about this. It was good to.
Yeah.
Good to finally get your thoughts on GXK.
Maybe now that I've gotten all the talking out, maybe this weekend I'll go check it out again. Go
and
for
we'll have another review show on that one, just on our second viewings.
Yeah, maybe I'll like it more. We'll see.
You can't go any lower on your ranking.
It can't. Cool. All right, guys, we're gonna get out of here. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Bye.